When I started, I was driving a Jeep Patriot that was $4,000 that I bought from a buy here, pay here. And literally in 1 year, I was doubling all their incomes. And I was driving a brand new Mustang GT. How did you get to be top guy? Well, it's very simple. I play the long game, right? Maybe next year, you start selling 40 cars a month and you're not making any calls because you have relationships and you built a brand. The best salespeople in any industry, they can find the best connections to have and then they build relationships with those people. Customer experience and customer service. You guys know the difference? So customer service is like this. Hey, you're gonna buy this truck from me. This is what you get. You sign the paperwork. Have a good day. Customer experience is how did you make them feel while they were buying from you? It's a big difference. If I pulled out my phone right now, I could call a couple dozen people on my phone right now and I could say, hey man, I need 100 grand because I need to hit a bonus for Andy. And they'd be like, dude, done, send me the wire info, I'll shoot it over to you. Because I built up relationship equity. And here's what I do, right? When I sold cars, here's exactly how I did it. First things first, I did a little test there, right? Because like Ian said, you know, there's the velvet hammer. Like there's oftentimes on teams, there are guys that, you know, they're not the loudest, but they work their fucking dicks off and they're top performers. But if you've learned anything from being around here, what have you learned? Winning energy, right? We call it big money energy. So what I do when I first start training a team is I go around, I'm like, what's up, bro? What's up? And I want to see how you're greeting me, right? I want to see if you're hitting me with like familiarity, eye contact, you know, because it's like, like the loudest person isn't typically the highest paid, and things vary, but typically like the one who makes the most money is the one who's most convicted, the one with the most certainty. Does that make sense? Yeah. That doesn't mean that's the loudest person, the tallest person. It's just the person who's the most convicted. And the first thing I'll talk about is like conviction, and then we'll go into a couple other things like how to make a shit ton of money, you know, that cool stuff, right? You know what I'm saying? But like if we don't get this part done, then we don't go anywhere. So who's on the sales floor? All of us. Everybody here is on the sales floor. I'm gonna guess he's the top salesman. No. All right, who's top salesman?
What are the metrics?
Who's, well, 90-day running average. Who sold the most cars?
Alex.
On the end?
Alex, Alexis, and me.
Nice, dude. Fucking good shit. See, Velvet Hammer's on the team, bro. Let's go, baby. See, and I can see that now. Like now that I'm putting that together, I'm like, dude, you know what? You got really good energy. This guy's got contagious energy. So do you. You know what I'm saying? It might have something to do with the suit. You know, I'm like not used to seeing guys in suits. I'm like, dude, y'all look fucking nice, bro. You know what I'm saying? So first things first, I cover mindset before I ever talk about skill, because if you ask me what's the separator, you know, because again, like not to brag, but I get accused all the time of being too humble. So, I don't ever teach anything without telling you, hey, like here's the results I got when I did it, right? So when I sold cars, used Andy's training, I didn't have certainty. Even as a kid who was 21 and came from freaking drug addict parents, had zero guidance, zero confidence, I still managed to make 30 grand a month selling cars. But I got on the team here, and after about a year of like still battling that uncertainty, one day I finally clicked. And I mean, in the past couple months, I mean, I'll make 6 figures a month. I got this Rolex from Andy for 50 G's for being the top salesman. So with that being said, like I have some strategies I use for skill, but if you ask me what's the separator, it's my mindset. That's what it is. You know what I'm saying? It's getting rid of that self-doubt and being able to actually like activate yourself, reach your full potential. So big money energy is the first thing that I teach. And basically all that means is this, bro. Like from now on, just audit yourself when you walk in a room, right? Like don't be the guy. I told a guy this morning. I was like, bro, some people are so focused on being right that they stay broke forever. How crazy is that? Like some people have the greatest excuses for being losers. You know what I'm talking about? Like, dude, you're like, bro, why didn't you just go get a new job? Well, dude, you don't get it, man. Like, bro, my parents and this and that, and you're like, dude, you just want to be right. No, okay, fine, you're right. So you're fucked. Do you feel happy now that you won the argument and you proved me wrong that you're actually a fucking loser and there's nothing you can do about it? You get what I mean? Yeah. Like I don't want to be right. I want to win. So if you tell me something that I feel like is my hole in my game, I'm like, bro, please tell me because I want to know. I'm dying to know. I got no ego. That's number 2. Murder your fucking ego. All right, guys, people ask me all the time, Brendan, how can I get closer to you, Andy, the Elliott Group, so I can go to the next level? So, we just dropped our newest program called ETA Plus, and it's a really cool opportunity to get all the coaching that the Elliott Group offers and also get really close to me as well, so I can personally coach you too. ETA, you get access to all of our exclusive content, Zoom calls every single week, you live stream every single Elliott event we do 12 events per year. Also, when you join with me, you're gonna join my personal community. I'm gonna coach you, and then also you'll be a part of a group of like-minded men and women that are going to the next level. So if you guys wanna join, I'm gonna put my cell phone number right here on the video. I just want you to text me ETA, okay? And I'll reach out to you, I'll get you all the information. It's super cheap and affordable. It's designed to help every salesperson and business owner level up and go to the next level. Let's get back to the video. I say that with passion because when I sold cars, when I started, I was driving a Jeep Patriot that was $4,000 that I bought from a buy here, pay here. Because again, I don't really have a whole lot of parental help or anything like that. So I put $1,000 down, which to me was, I was like, damn, bro, I'm fucking balling. Don't think I drove that thing around in shame. I drove it around like I was the fucking man. You know what I'm saying? 27% interest rate. Yeah, I was like, this is gonna be a Rolls Royce one day. But I drove it around, and the guys at my dealership all had rich parents, financials taken care of. They drove Scat Packs, Range Rovers, all this shit. They're my same age, right? And literally in 1 year, I was doubling all their incomes, and I was driving a brand new Mustang GT. And I literally bought it just to prove a point because I was like, fuck you guys, you know what I'm saying? But does that make sense? Yes, sir. And it all comes down to one thing. I got on the sales floor. They recruited me when I had zero car sales experience. And then I go find Andy Elliott's training, and I bring it back to him. I'm like, dude, we got to train every day. We got to train every day on this shit. We got to master this shit. Well, they were like, that's gay. I don't want to train. And I'm like, I started to realize it was because they had the handouts, and I had to fucking earn this shit. Because if I don't sell, I got no backup plan. So I don't have a fucking ego because I don't have a backup plan. You know what I'm saying? So I went in and, dude, I would go so fucking hard. Like, I didn't even know how to sell, but I just knew if I made enough contacts that I would hit my goals. Does that make sense? Here's tip number 3. This one will hit you in your core if you've ever felt this before. Outwork your fucking self-doubt. Outwork your self-doubt. People ask me all the time, they're like, dude, how do I overcome the doubt, man? I doubt myself. I said, you want to know how you doubt yourself, bro? Because you haven't accomplished shit. I said, so you need to work your fucking face off until you accomplish something, and then your identity catches up to the person you want to be. Does that make sense? Like, again, when I had my breakthrough working for Andy, it was about 18 months ago that I broke through, literally quadrupled my income. I was the cool guy. I came from selling cars, making 20, 30 grand a month. So I got in, and you know, when you've done something before, once you made your first 10, 20, 30 grand, you can do it again. It's like the 4-minute mile. A guy ran a 4-minute mile. It had never been done in history. And then the very next race, the very next Olympics, like 10 people run that shit, right? It's because once you see something, you believe you can accomplish it. So I come into the Elliott Group, and literally in a matter of 2 or 3 months, I'm making $250,000 a year. But then I stop. I get comfortable. And then I see the twins. I see all these people that are doing shit. And I'm like, I want to be that guy. But I have the doubt. And then 1 month, Andy goes, hey, Breitling watch, top salesman, crush your quota, get a Breitling watch. I don't know what it is about me, but if you put something in front of my face, if you spiff me, I'm gonna fucking go hard as shit, right? So that month, I was like, well, I got all this doubt. Is it even possible for me to ever make 6 figures in a month, break generational curses, become the person I want to be? And I said, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna work so fucking hard that it would be impossible for me to fail, even if I fucking shit the bed and closed at a terrible percentage. And sure enough, I ran that play, and I fucking killed it, bro. Because like I started to get on track, and I was like, hey, maybe this shit is possible. And then what happens when you get a yes? When you start to get a little bit of momentum? That's the best time to go sell. Does that make sense? Yep. So outwork your self-doubt. Literally, I always say this. Like, do you guys know your KPIs? You guys know what a KPI is? Yep, key performance indicator. Like if you could leave here with like one shift in your mindset, just go from thinking like an employee to thinking like a business owner. So, you know, even if you never use this, right? Just write it down so that way you remember it. Key performance indicator. So like I know this, right? If I make 50 calls, then I'll have 10 conversations, which will lead to 5 offers, which will lead to 2 closes. Does that make sense? What's that?
50 calls.
Yep, if I make 50 calls, I'll have 10 conversations, which will lead to 5 offers, which will lead to 2 closes. Does that make sense? So my KPIs are calls, conversations, offers, and closes. This doesn't apply to you. What this means is calls or ups, right? You call it ups, you call it appointments. Actually, you could call it ups or calls, appointments, and then closes. And what I always used to say when I sold cars was this: appointments leads to more sales. More appointments equals more sales. Like if you don't have appointments, you ain't gonna sell shit. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yes.
The mindset stuff clicking with you guys? You guys resonate a little bit? Good shit. All right, so a couple more things. And this is actually my biggest thing. So just to talk about this one more time, a couple more things on the input thing. Number one, you can't get emotional about the output, about the results. Because I always used to do that, right? Like you make 100 calls one day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, and you're like, man, I'm just not selling anything, man. Like, and you start battling with your mind. It's winter, it's fucking snowing in New York and shit, right? And you guys start to get a little bit like that, like the little bitch voice starts to like take over your soul. You start walking around like this. You can't get emotional about results. Like one thing I've learned about men who are strong and the guys who make millions and then the guys who never make it is they let their emotions dictate how they work the plan. Does that make sense? Like, because if we establish our KPIs, right? If you made 50 calls a day, went to the service department 5 times a day, and posted on social media to generate all your leads, that in 30 days you would be selling 30 cars a month from all 3 of those streams, right? Well, that's easy to say. You're like, oh man, that's dope. I could just go do that. Well, the problem is you're a human being, so about 10 days in, you'll start to wonder if the plan's gonna work. You'll stop doing it, and then you'll blame the person who told you the plan. Man, it didn't work. It's like, did you do it for all 30 days? You get what I mean? So like for me, because have you guys ever had a sales swing before where you feel good and then all of a sudden you feel like you're doing shitty? You guys ever had that? Yeah. It's like it messes with your identity a little bit. Let's say 6 months straight, you're selling 25 cars a month. 1 month it's the 18th, you're at 4 cars. And you're just like a nuance to your freaking family, your girl. You know what I'm saying? You're just like, oh babe, you just don't get it. You know what I'm saying? You just don't get it. You gotta kill the emotions. You gotta be like a stone cold fucking killer when it comes to that. You gotta just know that if I follow the plan, I cannot fail. That's it. If I follow the plan, then I can't fail, right? And then there was one more thing, and that's this. You have 0 influence over the outcome, only over the input. Like you could say, hey, I'm gonna go, like I could play the whole Andy Elliott game, bro, I'm gonna freaking kidnap your kids. I'm freaking put a gun to their head. I'm just kidding. And you got to sell 30 cars or they're dead, right? But the reality is you can't control that. You can't control 30 people saying yes to you. You don't know for sure if it could happen. You could go out and you could sell 30 for 30. Like it doesn't happen very often, but I've seen it get done before. People close 30 for 30 or 10 for 10, right? Mm-hmm. But what's most likely going to happen is the law of averages. Does that make sense? So I can't control. Like if I want to go make 100 grand in a month or 50 grand on a car lot, like I can't control that. I can't control the paycheck being 50 grand, but what I can control is how many fucking calls am I going to make? How good's my attitude going to be? Am I going to show up with winning energy even when I'm feeling like an emotional little bitch? And am I going to work the plan? Does that make sense? All right, so you guys want the skill now? Can I go over the skill? All right, so there's 2 things that I'm going to teach about. And one is relationships. Because when it comes to mindset, there's one last thing that you should know. I have a saying, people are like, bro, how did you become the top salesman? Like you see our team is like, bro, we're like the fucking Navy SEALs. Like we're like the all-stars. Like we got great people. The best looking people, the smartest salesmen, the loudest, the most charismatic. They're like, how did you get to be top guy? Well, it's very simple. I play the long game, right? I always say the only thing I like more than today's money is tomorrow's money. If I was broke, standing in front of you, I wouldn't have that mindset. Does that make sense? Because like if I had a car outside that I had a $4,000 payment on, and I couldn't afford my living expenses, and I would be about today's money. But the reality is what I've done with my life in sales is I have no debt besides my house and my rental property. I have cash flow coming in, so I don't stress. Now, does that mean I'm lazy and complacent? Fuck no, I'm a hard worker because when I get ahead, I want to get more ahead. Like I thrive on that. But I like the no stress life. I like not having to try to feel like I got to sell somebody to pay my bills. You know what I mean? So I sell better that way when people can feel I got pure intentions. But I put tomorrow's money over today's money. Like I'd rather have a bigger check next month than this month. Does that make sense? Yes. Now I love big checks, but like I want to make sure I'm winning for the whole time, right? And what I'll tell you is this about when it comes to relationships and social media, the most dangerous person in this room is the person who participates in activities that have the highest form of leverage, the highest amount of leverage. I'll explain what I mean right now, right? So let's say that what's your name again?
Calvin.
Calvin, my man. Let's say that Calvin is like, you know what, man, I'm going to fuck these guys up when we get back home. I'm going to sell 30 cars next month, right? And then he goes out and works his ass off and just tries to dominate it. And like he tries to close as many people as he can. But he doesn't take care of relationships and he doesn't do any social media for the next year straight. Every month it's back to 0, 30 cars, back to 0, 30 cars, back to 0, 30 cars. He might kick your ass, right? And you might be like playing a different game. You might be playing the long game. So he might kick your ass. But maybe next year, you start selling 40 cars a month and you're not making any calls because you have relationships and you built a brand, right? And now he's still starting over from 0. Does that make sense? And that's what most salespeople do. And the way I beat salespeople is I tire them out. Does that make sense? I want the competition to get tired because I know that the competition in my space, and same thing with you guys, the competition in my space, they buy cars they can't afford to look like they're living a lifestyle that they aren't really living, which puts them in stressful situations. And then eventually they tire out and they get stressed out. And I have no stress. The only stress I have is good stress. Wanting to fucking win, wanting to reach my full potential, solving problems in my business. I don't have problems of like trying to figure out how to pay my bills, right? So when my competition gets stressed, that's when I take them out. Does that make sense? And what's happening is if you start over at 0 month after month after month, eventually you get tired. I got momentum, and now you're cooked. You know what I'm saying? Now you're freaking done. And now I just got so much momentum that I'm just gonna keep rolling with it, right? So when it comes to relationships, here's what I do. This is the big thing. It's called intentionality. And then here's another thing I want you guys to write down. Have you guys ever heard of this before? There's 3 types of salespeople. There's finders, closers, and builders. Are you guys familiar with this? Yes or no? Okay. So most car salesmen, they're closers, right? So like the example I gave you with Calvin, going out selling 30 cars a month, like selling and closing but never building a pipeline. The best salespeople in any industry, they can find the best connections to have, and then they build relationships with those people. And they build big, fruitful relationships with those clients. Does that make sense? So if you're a closer, you start like, and by the way, like I love closing. I love the thrill of the kill. Like don't get me wrong, dude. I love closing, dude. You know what I'm saying? But if you don't play the long game, you're gonna get your ass smoked by someone who understands this game right here, right? So the skills that I'm concerned about with you guys learning from me is like the find and the build part. So I would write this down. Find and learn how to find, build, and utilize great connections, great relationships. You gotta be able to identify them, you gotta be able to nurture them, and then you have to be able to actually utilize them. They mean nothing if you never learn how to utilize them. Does that make sense? You gotta learn how to kind of relationally sell. But if you're transactional to a rich person, will they buy from you? Like, believe me when I tell you, when we started partnering with Paragon Honda, we didn't call and go, give me your card number. You know what I'm saying? Don't work like that with a guy like that. You gotta say, hey, value, 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 jab, jab, right hook. Does that make sense? Value, 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 offer, bam, he's ready. You know what I'm saying? So here's how I do it. I create what's called a top client relationships list. Okay?
I actually have that.
I love that, dude. And here's what I do, right? So when I sold cars, here's exactly how I did it. So I realized that when it comes to relationships, see, because here's the thing, right? You're like, well, I want to go make more money. I want to go kick ass after we leave this event. Well, it's like, dude, where does money come from? It doesn't grow on trees. It grows in other people's pockets. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. The more relationships you have that are in a positive positive status, the better off your life's going to be. The more momentum you have, the more connections you have, the more you're going to kick somebody else's ass who doesn't have them. Here's what a relationship bank account means. This is how you look at all the relationships in your life right now. If I had to pull out $500 out of this relationship right now, is there enough equity in this relationship for me to pull out $500? Because I can't withdraw $500 with a bank balance of $200. I tried it when I was 18. It doesn't work. You know what I'm saying? So you can't call a business owner that probably has plenty of people in his network that he could connect you with that would want to buy cars from you at some point or even now, or ask him to even promote you or shout you out on his social media, right? If he feels like he texted you for an oil change 2 months ago and your response time was really slow and you clearly showed him exactly where your priorities are, which is closing new sales, not giving a fuck about taking care of people. Does that make sense? So what I do is I keep these top client relationships, and when I meet someone, what I think is this, right? If, like, let's say I go through and throughout the month, y'all know when you get those clients that are like, just, you don't really want to have a relationship with them. Like, they're like, oh, I need $5,000 off. Oh, and where's both keys at? But it's like it's like they ask for a heavy. You're like, oh my God, dude, this is a transactional buyer. Yeah. Clearly not a good client. So I go through. Let's say I sell 5 cars. I'm like, boom, number 4. This guy's name's Gerald. He owns a local pizza shop. He bought freaking a Ram truck from me, or he bought see, you can tell I didn't sell Honda or Acura. I sold fucking Dodge and shit. You know what I'm saying? I was in the Midwest, motherfuckers. But, yeah, Honda Ridgeline. Yeah. So I would be like, okay, so this guy right here, I am going to understand that there's 2 types of customer service, right? Or actually, there's two pieces to the customer journey: customer experience and customer service. You guys know the difference? So customer service is like this. Hey, you're going to buy this truck from me. This is what you get. You sign the paperwork. Have a good day. And all the deliverables are agreed upon as the contract. Customer experience is how do you make them feel while they were buying from you? It's a big difference. The top 1% sales pros, they master this shit right here. Because how they feel when they buy from you determines whether or not they're going to want to give to you after the sale's over. Does that make sense? A terrible salesperson delivers a shitty customer experience, then calls the person next week and asks them for referrals. It's like, motherfucker, what? What are you doing? You know what I'm saying? So what I focus on is the customer experience, right? So what that means is this. I mean, there's plenty of ways to do this, but like, let me give you an example of me, right? Like, I'm projected to make 7 figures this year. And that might sound very fluffy and very awesome to you, but the reality is I've invested over 6 figures of that back into my own personal clients. I've taken clients to NBA courtside games. I've bought $5,000 dinners before, which you can imagine before you close a client, they've never even paid you $1. It's kind of hard to give your card to a waiter for $2,500 for a bunch of caviar and shit. You know what I'm saying? But again, long-term thinker, right? And when someone sees that, oh, you're willing to invest in me, you're willing to give me your best before I ever show you signs that I'm going to buy, that's the type of motherfucker I want to be around. Does that make sense? Because I'm focused on the experience, bro. I'm focused on the service is cool. Like when you sign up and train with Andy, you're going to get what Andy does. Like Andy's going to do what he does. But I am going to be damned if anyone ever pays me $1 and they don't feel like I over-deliver and they fucking owe me for the rest of their lives. Does that make sense? I take that very personal because that's how I fucking win, is I take such great care of people that they're like, Jesus, like, if I pulled out my phone right now, I could call couple dozen people on my phone right now. And I could say, hey man, I need 100 grand because I need to hit a bonus for Andy. And they'd be like, dude, done, send me the wire info, I'll shoot it over to you, right? Because I built up relationship equity, right? And that didn't happen the first fucking day I walked in here, you know what I'm saying? If you try that without pouring into them first, it doesn't work. It goes back to the whole bank account analogy. Does that make sense? You guys understand what I'm saying? So I take this guy and I go, okay, you're a badass, dude. So you're gonna go on this little list right here. This is the list of clients that I nurture and I build relationships with, right? So I'm going to pour into these clients, and what does that mean? That means I might invest some money into taking care of them, right? I might send them a gift. But most importantly, what that means is I'm gonna stay in rapport with them. So what does that look like? Well, here's how it looks for me. Professionals, I just learned this like 18 months ago when I started to become a top salesperson. They use calendars. Calendars are like fucking badass, you know what I'm saying? Like it tracks your day to the fucking, you guys use calendars? How many of you guys are like very strict to your Google Calendar? No bullshit me. I was gonna say we got fucking 12 liars in here of all you guys raised. I was selling cars before, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? I was running around like this. I was like, oh shit, I gotta sell a car. Get the fuck out of my way. Oh, girls coming. What's up, lady? All right, I gotta go. You know what I'm saying? You guys like that? You guys see amateurs like that? So, calendar. With this guy, I'm like, okay, just sold him a car. A week from now, I'm gonna send him something in the mail. 2 weeks from now, when my calendar goes off, I get a reminder at 11 a.m., 2 weeks from the time I sold him, I'm gonna give him a call and just say, hey bro, is there anything I can do for you? I was thinking, and I know you own XYZ shop or business. I have some clients that came in that recently, I think I wanna connect you with them. Are you open to more connections? Can I send you a referral? You know, can I give you a shout out, another shout out for your business, tell people to go see you? Because I think you're just an awesome dude, right? Now watch how this works. Is that guy buying a car from anybody ever again besides you? Has he ever done business with anybody in the car business like you before? I can personally guarantee you. And then secondly, when that guy knows someone who needs a car, what's he gonna do? He's gonna fight like hell for you. He's gonna go, dude, this fucking guy over at fucking Honda, he calls me every 2 weeks, sends me referrals, sends me gifts in the mail. Like, you have to go see him. And then when he goes to buy another car, which he will, right? We know what the trade cycle's like typically, every couple years. I mean, you can pretty much imagine that this guy will be coming back to see you once every couple years. So literally, you could, if you wanted to play this game, because this is how my brain works. If I start to stack these, and I go through and every couple clients, again, notice I'm not taking every client that way, because not every client deserves to be on my top client list. Because as a salesperson, your most valuable asset's your time. You don't invest in the shitty fucking clients. That's why I'm saying you got to use your intuition. You got to actually be picky about who goes on this list. Because this list is for people that you want to stay in front of for the rest of their lives. Does that make sense? Here's another tip. If this guy, if you put somebody on this list and you just pour into him for months, then you ask him for referrals one day, or you notice they haven't sent you any referrals, or they don't take your calls, maybe you just remove them from the fucking list and you made a bad add to the list. If the play is ran correctly, in a year, you'll have 100 clients on this list that know, like, and trust you and will buy everything from you for the rest of their entire lives. And you can call them for favors whenever you want. Your relationship bank account will be in the positive. And whenever you call them for referrals or anything, you want to shout out, right? They're going to take your call and they're going to answer. Does that make sense? You guys going to start running that motherfucking play? Let's go. All right. Here's another thing that I do. All right, guys, thanks again for watching another video. And one thing I want you to know is that every single week I'm putting out free value that's going to help you go to the next level in sales, personal branding, and as a leader as well. So if you guys are enjoying the content, I want you to like the video, comment below, let me know what your biggest takeaway was from this training, and then subscribe and share with your friends if you know somebody who wants to level up. And lastly, if you guys need help from me at all, anything, I want you to text me. I'm gonna put my phone number right here. You can text me with any concerns, questions, anything you want, and I'm happy to help. Thanks for watching another video. I'll see you guys next time.